Once you've resized your image and you've saved it to your desktop, now you can go ahead and start playing with your photo and you can start adjusting and editing your picture. So, a couple quick little recaps first on understanding how Photoshop works. So, I've got my magnifying lens. I can go ahead and click my plus up here and I can make my picture bigger. If I hold my hand right here, I can grab my tool and move my hand around. I can see at 100%, these are all the different areas of my photo. Really important right here because then it can show if we have too dark of a picture or if there's areas that are too light. So if I want these clouds to be a little stronger and I want to adjust and change those, I would want to make sure that I modify that. If I want to go back to making my picture fit within my application page, I'm going to go ahead and click Fit on Screen. If I want to minimize and make that a little smaller, because sometimes this window right here is a little too constrained, and if I'm trying to edit something down in here and it's too tight, I might want to move that. I can go ahead and shrink it just a little bit. So one way is by clicking on the minus and shrinking it smaller, or I can go ahead and hold on my keyboard. I can hold my Option key. You can see here that's a plus when I hold the Option. So that's a little quick check-in. And if I hold my Shift, it'll be automatically a minus. So again, Option is a minus, Shift is a plus. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom that in and zoom that back out so you can see. And if I hold my space bar down on my keyboard, my space bar will be a quick selection so I don't have to go back to my tool right here. So my space bar allows me to grab my hand tool that then moves my picture around. So I'm going to go ahead and just leave my photo like this just to kind of show you generally what it's going to look like when I'm doing my edits. You want to maximize your window. You never want to keep your window super small like this because you're not taking advantage of the full screen. Obviously, if you're doing a YouTube video, or excuse me, if you're watching one of my YouTube videos, then you do want to have two screens open, one with my video here and one with your image here so you can see everything. But then when you're editing on your own, or if you're looking on your phone while you're watching this, you do want to maximize the ability to be as large as you possibly can so you can see from side to side where things are working. And you want to be careful. You can see if I move this over, now my tools are missing. So I don't want to go so big that I'm missing some of my presets. So I like to just leave my window about right here. And then the next thing you're going to want to do is understand these tools. So some of these are selection tools, and then these down here do quite a few more things. But for right now, what you need to understand is that you have your layers, you have adjustments right over here, and anytime you click on something on this side, it will change your tools up here. So if I click on this selection tool, you'll see I have these different options for my masks. And again, a lasso tool allows you to select something that is organic. If I click and I select over again, every time I click, it starts new. If I want to remove a section, for example, like this, and I want to get rid of my selection, I can go up here and go select deselect, or here's the shortcut Command D. Okay, so now I've deselected my object. Anything that you select within your area, if you go up here and you go to adjustments, brightness and contrast, for example, it will only edit in that one section. I do not recommend doing this because, as you can see, it does it to my actual image and it does it in a destructive way. So I can't go backwards, right? So I'm going to go hit cancel. Or if you've made a mistake or you've done something like what I'm doing right now, I've increased my contrast just in that one section. I realized, oh, geez, this is not what I like. Command D to deselect. This isn't what I wanted. I can go up to my window. I can go down to my history. So any of these windows are my panels. If I want to find something, I just check on it and it brings up my history. So here's my history. If I want to see more of the things that I've done, I can make my panel, see those little double pointed arrows up and down. I can bring my panel and drag it down. This over here closes my window. If I want to bring back my panel for my history, I can expand it once again, and there's my information. Or I can go here and check history. That closes my window history. This now opens it again. So these are ways that you can access your panels if you've misplaced them. So notice that all those things don't show up on my history. I do, however, want to go back. So I'm going to just keep checking one of these until I go back to the last thing that I did that I don't like or that I like. So notice that I checked on the word. I didn't check on these. This ends up doing some different things in your undo history. So you just want to make sure that you always go back to the last thing that you did and not click on these little tabs for now. You'll learn more about your history selections and undoing and redoing later. So for now, we're clicking on the word, and this is the last thing that I've done. If I want to do an adjustment to an area in my photo and I want to have it be non-destructive editing, meaning it's not actually doing it to my original photo, which is here, I'm going to go up here and I'm going to adjust my layers this way. So here I can go to some of these presets. If I hover over them, it shows me if there's one that I like. So hovering over will bring you those adjustments. If I want to open up some of these, you can see these are presets. Again, they do just your basic, average run of the mill that you can then adjust later. So some of these might be kind of more dramatic and you might like parts of it. So if I click soft contrast, what it'll do is it'll create all the different things adjustment wise in my photo repair. If I open up my folder, I need to understand how these work before I can really do all of these adjustments. So I'm going to go ahead and hold these two down with my shift key, drag those to my trash, and I'm going to show you a better way of doing it for right now. So these again are just your basic presets. I don't recommend you going through these because you want to finalize these adjustments a little bit more um, um, I would say a little bit more specific. So instead, I'd prefer that you do individual adjustments for right now. You can definitely experiment like what I showed you, but if you don't like something, either go back in your history or grab the layers that you didn't like and delete them down here in the trash. So I'm going to go ahead and start with my hue and saturation. So if I click hue and saturation, it pops up right here. I can go ahead and change my hue a little bit, make it a little bit more green and get those blues a little bit more blue because I have a lot of white in my photo. It's not affecting anything that doesn't have pigment. If I've gone a little too overkill and I maybe just want to affect one color, for example, let's say just the blues, I can change the hue of just the blues and you'll see that that will adjust it a little bit more manually, similar to what Lightroom did, but at a different level. Lightroom does a much better way of just adjusting for the blues. But you can see I've kind of tweaked this a little bit. If I hide this down here and I open it, I actually prefer this blue in here and in the background. It makes it a little bit warmer, less turquoisey. If I want to go ahead and manage my reds, maybe I want some of the red to pop out in here. I can go ahead and adjust just the reds in my picture. And you can see now some of those reds are popping in the branches and now it's popping up in the rocks. Again, not sure if I like what I've done. Because I'm only doing this to one, you can see it's affecting the reds and the blue. And every time I click on this, see how layer visibility pops up? So you'll want to go back like this. And this is how you can see the difference between the two, as opposed to using your eyeball. If I want to go and create more luminance within those reds or darken them a little bit, I can kind of deepen those shadows and make them more interesting. Again, if I want to see if that's changed, I go up here to here and you can see that really has darkened those branches a little bit. My eye isn't dragging straight to this tree. Now it's looking more globally. So even though this might look more appeasing to some of you, if the distraction is just on this side and then you forget to look at the rest of the landscape, you are not editing in a way that's going to be global. And so you really want to make sure that you're editing in a way that is giving you enough contrast, enough highlights that your eye isn't getting stuck in one area of your landscape. Because again, this is landscape photography. If I want to go back to my adjustments, I can go here, or I can go down to this little half circle and I can go to each one of these individually. So let's say I want to play with my brightness and contrast, and I want to brighten my picture a little bit, or maybe I want to darken it a little bit. I want to increase the contrast. So again, this gives me a little bit more drama. I might like that for printing. Again, remember when you're printing, this is really dark. Next block day, I'll show you how to just modify that. If you already know how to modify your masks, you can click into your mask itself and you can erase and highlight. If you haven't learned that yet, don't worry, I'll show you this on block day. So what I want you to continue to be doing is continuing to go back up here to your adjustments, try things out, see if you've increased your vibrance a little bit, maybe increased your saturation, or maybe even decreased your saturation a little bit if you want to make things a little more moody. And play with your photo enough to have a minimum of 2 to 3 different adjustment layers. Again, if you've decided you don't like something and it's not to your cup of tea and it's not working for you and you've adjusted and readjusted and you don't think that it's effective, you're going to go ahead and pull and drag this, the word, again, not just the mask or up here, because if you do that and you bring it to the trash, it's going to give you this pop-up saying, are you sure you want to delete your mask? That will not delete the whole layer. Make sure you hit cancel, grab the word, drag it, click and drag to your trash can, and that will delete the layer that you didn't like. Remember, now that you've saved your image, you don't need to go save as anymore. It's been saved to your desktop. All you need to do is hit save. It will pop up with this window saying, are you sure you want to maximize, not want to maximize compatibility? This is an error message telling you, hey, you got a lot of layers. This is a really large file. Remember, we are saving everything to our hard drive, and we have a lot of memory on these computers, so we don't have to worry about saving storage. We don't need to compress our picture. So you're going to click don't show this again, and you're going to click OK. So now it won't give you that message each time. When you're done editing for the day, or when you've realized that you've done as much as you can, you're going to go ahead and close out of Photoshop just by clicking out after you've saved. When you're ready to reopen your picture, all you need to do is click on the Photoshop file and it will automatically open up in Photoshop. So I'm going to go ahead and quit Photoshop just so you can see what that looks like. You shouldn't have a little dot right here, but for some reason Photoshop is not wanting to quit. So we're going to force quit that. There we go. And now you have 2 options. Again, double clicking on this, or click and drag and hover over Photoshop and it will automatically open up in Photoshop. So again, click and drag to PS, or just double click on Photoshop from your desktop and that will automatically open up your Photoshop file. And you don't need to go back and go through Lightroom to open up your photo. So remember, once you've saved it to your desktop, you always want to be opening this file. If anything weird happens and you've lost toolbars or you've lost things that aren't popping up, you can go back up here and you can click on Reset Essentials. So for example, maybe my history window closed and maybe I accidentally did some weird things up in here and suddenly all my tools are disappearing, or I've dragged some of my tools and I've moved them over here and we're not really sure how to make that all pop back up, and you're not sure how to bring things back the way that you wanted, and you're confused and things have gotten really wonky, like what I'm doing right now, and you're going, oh my goodness, how do I put this all back? None of it's working. All you need to do is go up here, hit Reset Essentials, and all of your window tabs will pop back up where they need to be.